Only turnkey real estate investment solution. I'm meteorologist John Weatherby.
The views expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect the views of Money Radio staff, management, or advertisers, and do not represent an offer to buy or sell any securities. Some interviews heard on this program may be sponsored by the participants. It's time for Health Futures with Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Health Futures. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and we brought you in with a little Old Lang Syne, and it's hard to believe that we are closing out 2016, and next Friday will be 2017. Actually, not next Friday, but Sunday will be 2017. It's hard to believe I've got a full house here today, and we're going to try to make it an incredible experience for you, our listening audience, in talking about Alzheimer's and what is going on in terms of the latest and greatest. And we've got a couple events that are going on. So first and foremost, if this is the first time you are listening to this show is called Health Futures. And Health Futures is about how our older adult population can live a healthier, happier life. And I've been privileged to host this show now we're going to start our fourth year next year on next Friday, and bringing you just incredible information about how to do that. You know, we know that baby boomers are turning 65 at a clip at 10,000 a day, and we're only 5 years into an 18-year period, and we have had a lot of things happen in these 5 years, and we're going to have a lot more happen over the next 13 years. And one that is happening before us is Alzheimer's and dementias. And they're becoming more and more prevalent, and they are affecting our communities, our families, our society, and we are coming together to really help find a way to not only delay onset, but to figure out ways to prevent this disease. So, without further ado, this show is possible because I bring extraordinary guests, and I have extraordinary guests here with me today. So, in the room with me, I've got Michelle Toff, who is our Director of Memory Care Programs at Cypress HomeCare Solutions. So welcome.
Always good to be back.
It's good to have you. And just to her right, my left, is Dr. Marwan Sabbagh, and he's a repeat guest to our audience and to me, a good friend. And Dr. Sabbagh is with the Barrows Neurological Institute. He's a board-certified neurologist and geriatric neurologist. And as he likes to say, he hopes to be able to work himself out of a job. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bob.
Good to have you. And just to his right and my left is Tim Cowen. And Tim is the executive director for Belmont Village, which is an incredible community right here in Scottsdale, right off of Frank Lloyd Wright. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
It's good to have you. And just to his right, my left, is Marty Haberer. And Marty is the Chief Development Officer for the Valley of the Sun JCC. So you, as my audience, is probably saying, why are all these people in the room? Well, you know, as I said, you know, we are aging at a very rapid clip, and Alzheimer's and dementia is affecting our communities and our families quite readily, and we are looking for answers. We are looking for, you know, how do we prevent this disease? How do we deal with this disease? And we are developing new care programs, and we are also developing ways to learn more about this disease. So Dr. Sabbagh is going to be a guest at the Valley of the Sun JCC. He is going to be a guest next Friday from 10 to 11 o'clock, and he's going to be talking about reducing your risk to this disease. And then the following Friday, he's going to be a guest at Belmont's Village in Scottsdale, and that will be from 1 to 2 o'clock. And he'll be talking about future treatments of Alzheimer's. So I'll probably be plugging these events that are coming up. And I urge you, if you want more information, to contact the Jewish Community Center or contact Belmont Village to learn more. But without further ado, I want to really turn the microphone over to Dr. Sabbagh because Marwan, there's so much going on with Alzheimer's, and I know you've been doing a lot of public speaking, not just here domestically, but internationally. And as Dr. Pierre Theriault has said, right in that seat where you are about 2 years ago, this isn't an epidemic. It's going to be pandemic.
It is, definitely. So the current estimate now is that by the middle of this century, there will be 14 million Americans having it. It is now ranked, I heard a very interesting statistic, from GDP. It would be the 18th most expensive from total economic impact, equal to the 18th largest country in the world, that worldwide, with over 30 million people affected. So this is not just a sad disease, an expensive disease. We also know that when you talk about baby boomers, 10,000 a day, the current estimate is that 1 in 8 will develop Alzheimer's in their lifetime. The baby boomer generation are particularly worried that they just been spending their life burying their parents with Alzheimer's, and they're thinking, oh my gosh, am I next? So one of their top priorities amongst boomers is the charge to see if we can change the future of Alzheimer's, and that's why there's such an interest.
Well, it's interesting as you talk about, the expected growth of it. And we know by halfway through this century, we're talking about, close to 15 million people right here in our country. So almost half of the world's population is going to have it. But the interesting thing, when you look at it, it's the 5th leading cause of death?
So every year it goes between the 4th, 6th, 7th. I haven't seen the latest, but last time it was 6th. So,
right. But here in Arizona, it's even higher because we have an older population.
Correct.
But when you really look at the other diseases that are ahead of it, they're declining.
Correct.
And Alzheimer's is increasing.
Correct. So if you look at the 25 leading causes of death, it's the only one that has not gone down.
Right.
When you look at stroke death, heart death, cancer death, even accident death, all of the morbidity and mortality for other diseases has gone down except for Alzheimer's, which has been going up at an alarmingly high rate.
You have really been out there as advocating ways to reduce the risk. And you've written a number of books, and you've talked about, eating healthy and those sort of things. Mm-hmm. Can you share with our listening audience, and as you know, this show goes really fast.
Right.
And we're probably almost done our first segment. But if you can give just some bullet points on ways to reduce the risk, especially if you've got family history.
Yeah, so that's a whole topic unto itself, as you and I have had a radio program. We know that we're trying to decide if we can alter our lifestyle to offset a genetic propensity. And that's still to be debated. But we do know that one of the quickest ways to alter your risk is to alter your diet. We also know that engaging in wellness and health and risk reduction happens in totality. It's not like you can eat a bad diet and take a handful of supplements, and that's good enough. So you have to do all things, including exercise, brain engagement with the brain games, eating right, and supplements, and all of those together probably are what's going to reduce your risk. But the one thing we know is from the data, we want to reduce the amount of saturated fat in our diet, which is not an easy thing to do in the American diet, and we want to adopt something akin to a Mediterranean diet and have more antioxidant spices.
And it's interesting. You talk about a Mediterranean diet. My cardiologist talks about that all the time.
Sure.
And it's hard to cut out all the fats.
It is hard to cut out the fats.
And, I've had this one physician here. He's an orthopedic surgeon, David Bailey, who was on last week. He likes to say, fast foods, you need to avoid fast foods. You never, ever go near a fast food restaurant because it's all bad. And all those saturated fats can't be very good for you.
That is absolutely right.
If you want to learn more, certainly about, diets and eating, I want to really talk about this event coming up next Friday. The Ina Levine Jewish Community Center is going to be hosting this event Friday, January 6th from 10 to 11, and it'll give you an opportunity as our listening audience to come hear Dr. Sabbagh and really speak to him and hear him talk about what is going on, what are ways to reduce the risk, how to really cope with this diagnosis and really deal with this disease. So I'm encouraging you as our listening audience to go check it out. I know it's up on their website, valleyofthesunjcc.org, right, Marty? Is that it?
Yes.
You need to get a little closer to the mic, sir.
Yes, it's valleyofthesunjcc.org/Alzheimer's.
So it's VOSJCC.org/Alzheimer's.
Correct.
And James, I love that you're taking us out with a little Bruce Springsteen. You're listening to Health Futures Taking Stock in You. We're talking Alzheimer's. We've got a room full of people here. I encourage you to come back for our second segment to learn a little bit more about what's going on. We will be right back.
Whether you're a millennial or a boomer, everyone needs to be paying attention to their finances and planning for retirement. Enter Matthew Harrison, the Millennial Money Guy. Matthew is a financial advisor and accredited investment fiduciary with Golden West Financial, and that means he has you and your money's best interest at heart. He understands the important role a financial advisor plays in helping young individuals, families, and businesses achieve their life goals. Working with you as your professional partner, Matthew will help provide financial solutions as you progress through your career and on into retirement. It's that kind of one-on-one attention that's going to help create your financial plan, a personal roadmap that could serve as a guideline to help solve financial concerns and achieve financial freedom. To truly understand your current financial situation, call Matthew Harrison of Golden West Financial today, 480-699-3612, or visit gwestfinancial.com for a complimentary consultation and to start your roadmap to financial security.
This is J.D. Hayworth, host of Newsmax Prime on Newsmax TV with great news. Now you can watch Newsmax Prime twice each weeknight on KFPB Channel 56 on CenturyLink Prism. The future of our nation is at stake in this election, and it's imperative you get the news and analysis you can trust. Join me Monday through Friday on Newsmax Prime at 5 and again at 8 p.m. on KFPB Channel 56 on CenturyLink Prism. See you then.
The Waste Management Phoenix Open, presented by the Ak-Chin Indian community, is a golf tournament like no other. Huge crowds, enthusiastic fans, exciting golf. It's truly the People's Open. Please enjoy the tournament and have fun. Remember, be safe, act responsibly, and behave with class. Let's show the world that we have the greatest fans in golf. Respect the fans, respect the players, respect the game at the 2017 Waste Management Phoenix Open, January 30th through February 5th at TPC Scottsdale.
Toyota Dawn is on. The year's biggest event. Get great deals like low financing to special cashback offers. Visit your Valley Toyota dealers or valleytoyotadealers.com today.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures. I'm your host, Bob Roth. And if you're just tuning in, we're on our second segment. And I've got a crowded house here today. And I'm privileged to bring to you the last show of the year with an extraordinary cast of people. And I'll just go real quickly. I've got Michelle Toff, who's our Director of Memory Care Programs here. I've got Dr. Marwan Sabbagh from the Barrows Neurological Institute. I've got Tim Cowen from Belmont Village, and Marty Haberer, who's the Chief Development Officer from Valley of the Sun JCC. And the reason why I've got this group in here is we've got a couple events that are coming up. Next Friday, we got a great event at the Valley of Sun JCC, how to reduce your risk for Alzheimer's. It is Friday from 10 to 11 o'clock, and you can learn more about it at www.vosjcc.org/Alzheimer's. And then the following Friday, we have an event over at Belmont Village, and you can learn more about that. You can actually call them at 877-728-5414, and that is Friday the 13th. from 1 to 2 o'clock. And Friday 13th isn't a bad thing on Friday the 13th. Hey, listen, Steve Nash wore number 13. He did pretty good. Well, we were talking about Alzheimer's, and, Dr. Sabbagh, you were sharing with us some stats. And, I know that, statistically it looks doom and gloom. And, I said this at the break. It is very true. You give patients hope, and you're an extraordinary doctor. And in terms of, they get this diagnosis, they know their fate isn't good, and you are a great resource to them. And you've been a great resource to us over at Cypress. And Michelle's running our memory care program. But I want to steer this conversation over to you, Tim. And you guys are doing some extraordinary things over at Belmont Village. And you guys have specific dietary guidelines. And I did talk about Marwan's book about, how to eat and eat healthy to prevent this disease or delay the onset. Tell me and tell our listening audience about some of the things that you're doing to improve the overall health of the people that are at Belmont Village.
Well, first off, you were talking earlier about the Mediterranean diet, and I'm in awe sitting in this room in the presence of all of you, and especially Dr. Sabbagh, who are doing so many world-renowned things to help people with Alzheimer's. During the break, Marty asked Dr. Sabbagh, how do you maintain hope in the midst of dealing with such an insidious and depressing disease? And my opinion is it develops coping skills, and we're all hopeful about what's going to be there in the future. I got into this because my stepmother had a master's in physics from Harvard from 1935, when females didn't go to Harvard, let alone get physics degrees. World-class researcher who developed Alzheimer's. And so all of us have a passion to work on this. And like Dr. Sabbagh has said, nutrition has a lot to do with it. So what you're doing at Cypress, what we're doing at Belmont Village, has to do with whole brain fitness, and dealing with that has to do with dietary things. So our certified executive chef at Belmont Village, as an example, and I think there are only a few thousand with that designation, is passionate about developing foods that are good for people, but not taking away their choice of what they want to choose to eat. And so we'll deal with things that have antioxidants. It's a Mediterranean diet if people want that. A lot of vegetables if somebody wants to be a vegetarian. Our executive chef is a big boy, but he's a vegan, would you believe? So we're committed to...
He must know something we don't know.
we're committed to doing all kinds of things that will help with that, with evidence-based research. Every day we're serving wild salmon and blueberries and fruit on the side and lentils and all kinds of things that have to do with healthy living. And we're all struggling with that. We were talking earlier about fast food, and you said to pass up the fast food, and that's what we're trying to do.
It is hard because we all run at a very fast pace. We live a very fast-paced lifestyle. And really, Marwan, you did a book, and basically it's the Alzheimer's Prevention Cookbook. And I remember you talking about it here on the show. You collaborated with an executive chef.
Yeah, Chef Bo McMillan from the Food Network and Sanctuary Elements.
Yeah, and you give him a lot of credit, but he made the food taste good. But he
made the food taste good. So Bo, I basically gave him an ingredients list and a theme, and I said, "Go for it." And it was a blank canvas, and he just went to town on it. But the concepts kind of are threaded is that you really do have to reduce the saturated fat, eat right, eat fish, and do the things that you've already incorporated at Belmont Village. And we know that those things will reduce the risk over time, particularly if you follow the work done out of Columbia University in New York City. They've done a lot of work around this, suggesting that adherence to these kinds of diets do reduce the risk of progression and overall risk.
And, I know one of the things that, Tim, that you guys subscribe to is the whole brain fitness. And obviously, part of that whole brain fitness is the diet. But can you expand on that a little bit more?
We were talking earlier before we went on the air, Bob. You were talking about keeping people engaged at Cypress. Whole brain fitness has to do a lot with keeping people engaged. There's a wonderful lady, I call her a Belmont treasure, I think she's in her mid-70s, but don't quote me, named Beverly Sanborn, who coined the phrase, the just right challenge. The first time I heard that phrase, it resonated with me to come up with challenges that are just right for each person. in the memory care world, so many people want to develop a cookie-cutter approach of stamping out the same thing for each person, but we're all different. My stepmother, who had her master's in Harvard, had an enormous cognitive reserve. Someone else may not. The challenges are all different. So we work with evidence-based programming to come up with challenges physically, emotionally, spiritually, all kinds of ways that will be a challenge that is just right for that individual. Is it perfect? By no means. But we have certified enrichment leaders and professional memory programming people who are working at that. The state came in, you know how that is, not too long ago, 2 surveyors, and the 2 ladies walked into part of our...
Unannounced, right?
Unannounced, part of our memory area, and I was accompanying them, and one looked at the other and said, "Do you believe this?" And I thought, uh-oh. and she said, "The staff is engaged with the residents, and we don't see that at many places." And that really is what it's all about. I see you were talking earlier about the statistics. In the industry, they talk about memory care product. There are a lot of memory places being built in Arizona, in this area today. And many times people just look at the demographics and the numbers and say, if we built it, they will come, and all we have to do is warehouse these people. And so it's a warehousing approach and having people exist, and in my opinion, over-medicating them versus engaging them in a whole brain fitness program. So the Belmont Village program, which is coined Circle of Friends, has been around now in its 10th year, and it just won the award last year, 2016, from Argentum as the best and the best. And twice a year, we are measuring our results. Another neurologist that I know Dr. Sabbagh knows came out to see one of her patients living at Belmont Village because she said, "I can't believe how well this guy is doing." And that's really what it's all about, is to do whatever we can to keep people engaged.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And your comment about over-medication is something that we see so much in the older adult care business. But the fact that you are doing more of a mind, spirit, body type approach is so incredible what you guys are doing. And thank you for sharing that with us. You know, the guy to your right, my left, hasn't said a word yet. And I haven't given him an opportunity. But, you know, we're getting ready. We got 1 minute left. But I just want to kick it off and just share with you in this 1 minute, or have you share with us, about the partnership with Belmont Village and Barrows Neurological Institute.
Yes, so I would have to begin first by thanking Belmont Village and Tim, because without sponsors and people who collaborate with us, we would not be able to bring this type of exceptional programming to our community. And the Jewish Community Center is so much more than just a fitness center. It's these type of programs that provide the type of enrichment that defines our mission and our purpose. So we're very grateful for that.
No, and that's awesome. And to your point, I mean, I know that the Jewish Community Center doesn't just serve the Jewish community; it serves the community as a whole. And if you can give us some statistics, just real briefly, you serve percentage-wise?
Oh, it's pretty much 50-50.
50-50?
And we're open to the community, we're based on membership. We also have programs that don't require membership, and even in this particular program, because we have a sponsor, it's a free program. All we ask is that people try to make a reservation before they come in.
There you go. You know, it's hard to believe we're at halftime. I told you, this really goes by fast. And you realize we got 2 more segments, and then we're done for 2016. You're listening to Health Futures. I'm your host, Bob Roth. We're up against halftime here. We're talking Alzheimer's. Tune back in the 3rd segment. We'll be right back.
As we reach the bottom of the hour, we pause for a look at the world's news. Then we're back with Money Talk. We're Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
Russia has announced Moscow will not retaliate against the U.S. for sanctions linked to alleged meddling with the election. Russian leader Vladimir Putin adds he is waiting for Donald Trump to take office in a few weeks. Correspondent Matthew Chance.
And it's him that he believes he can do a deal with. It's him who believes that the relationship between Russia and the United States, which has been so badly strained over the past several years over various issues from Syria to Ukraine to NATO expansion, that relationship can be rebuilt.
A nationwide ceasefire in Syria appears to be holding. Correspondent Mohammed Leela.
We're almost coming up to the 24-hour mark of the ceasefire, and all of the groups involved meaning Turkey, Russia, Iran, and Syria, none of them have reported any kind of fighting that would push this over to the edge, saying that the ceasefire has been violated.
Losses for the final trading day of the year. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down by 65 points. The S&P 500 off 12. The Nasdaq down 56. I'm Ann Cates.
Geico presents Unanswerable Questions.
Why are yawns contagious? What makes some ketchup fancy? Or the big one, why doesn't everyone switch to Geico when they could save 15% or more on car insurance? However, you could be a part of the answer by switching to Geico and saving hundreds for yourself. Money you could use to purchase bottle after bottle of the fanciest of ketchups.
Geico, the answer to savings. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Katie, where's your Jergens?
My lotion? Here in the shower where it belongs.
Wait, in the shower?
Yeah, Mom. I use Wet Skin Moisturizer from Jergens. It instantly locks in moisture from my shower, so my skin stays soft and luminous all day without that sticky lotion feel.
Moisture without that heavy feel? Can I borrow your Jergens Wet Skin Moisturizer?
And who said Mom always knows best?
You're more than just a pretty face. Jergens.
Some people lost money yesterday.
Did you?
Some made money.
Did you?
Before you hit the sack, ask yourself, what did your money do for you? Then listen to Money Radio tomorrow.
Next generation living benefit riders on annuities and life insurance are changing the game in financial planning and resource allocation. But there are major differences among products. Get informed on the Financial Review as I sit down with best-selling author and retirement strategist Steve Jurich to learn the fundamentals and make the key comparisons. Join us Mondays and Thursdays at 4:35 p.m. right here on Money Radio.
It's your last chance for the best deals of the season during the final days of the Ford year-end event. Just announced, get $1,500 cash, which includes $500 final days cash, plus $1,000 Ford Smart Bonus cash on select models. Or check out special year-end lease deals across the entire lineup of Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs, including Ford Fusion, Explorer, and the Built Ford Tough F-150. These are the best deals of the season for a new Ford, America's best-selling brand. Hurry, it's the final days of the Ford year-end event. Your last chance to get $1,500 cash, which includes $500 final days cash, plus $1,000 Ford Smart Bonus cash on select models. Ends January 3rd. Supply of vehicles with Ford Smart Bonus is limited. Not available on Focus RS, Shelby GT 350, Ford GT, F-150 Raptor, F-650, or 750. See dealer or go to buyfordnow.com to find specially tagged vehicles and for qualifications and complete details. For all offers, taking a retail delivery from dealer stock by 1/3/2017. Sales claim based on 2015 calendar year sales.
The Waste Management Phoenix Open, presented by the Ak-Chin Indian community, is a golf tournament like no other. Huge crowds, enthusiastic fans, exciting golf. It's truly the People's Open. Please enjoy the tournament and have fun. Remember, be safe, act responsibly, and behave with class. Let's show the world that we have the greatest fans in golf. Respect the fans, respect the players, respect the game at the 2017 Waste Management Phoenix Open, January 30th through February 5th at TPC Scottsdale.
Gift yourself a new kitchen this holiday season with Caesarstone quartz countertops. Caesarstone, the look of natural stone, yet resistant to cracks, stains, scratches, and heat. Find your local Caesarstone dealer at CaesarstoneUS.com.
I'm Frank Miller with Your Money Now. Well, light trading persisting on Wall Street. The Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P not seeing much significant movement in today's trading. Well, a joint venture between Foxconn and Japanese electronics maker Sharp plans to invest $8.8 billion to build a new factory in China. That factory will make advanced LCDs. The joint venture, called Sakai Display Products, will reportedly build a factory in the Chinese city of Guangzhou. The new factory will make LCD displays with technology from Sharp, which was acquired by Foxconn earlier this year. China's central bank says it's getting ready to tighten the supervision on cash transactions and overseas transfers beginning in the middle of next year. Financial institutions are expected to report all domestic and overseas cash transfers, which exceed 50,000 yuan instead of the current level of 200,000 to the People's Bank of China. Also, banks need to report any overseas transfers in other currencies of $10,000 or more. And that is Your Money Now.
This is an alert. If your business or church is building this year, you're about to pay more than you should. And this could mean thousands of dollars more for your office, retail space, church, or warehouse. A General Steel building can save you as much as half the cost and time of similar conventional construction. And we're offering rebates of up to $20,000 to help you build today. Call General Steel for free information that could save you thousands. Call 866-95-STEEL. 866-95-STEEL. That's 866-95-STEEL.
There are two kinds of people in this world, the haves and the have-dones. The haves bounce around the world in private jets. The have-dones bounce around the trampoline park in their socks. Bowling? Think Groupon. Ski slopes? Think Groupon. Weekend fun for the family? Download the Groupon app and use code WELCOME and get $10 off your first Groupon deal of $25 or more. Restrictions apply. See Groupon.com/radio for details. Because if you're going to own something, own the experience. Groupon.
May the force be with you.
Good morning, good morning. We've gabbed the whole night through. Good morning to you.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures. We're in the second half here. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and if you missed the first half, you can catch it up on our website at cypresshomecare.com and look under the radio button. You can catch the first half of our show here today. You can catch about 150 others that we've been bringing to you for the last 3 years. You can hear Dr. Sabbagh 2 other times he's been on the show. He was here actually about a year ago before he began his journey where he is now at Barrows Neurological Institute. If you're just tuning in, I've got Dr. Marwan Sabbagh from the Barrows Neurological Institute here in the studio with us. I've got Michelle Toff, who's our Director of Memory Care Programs at Cypress Home Care Solutions. I got Tim Cowen from Belmont Village here in Scottsdale, Arizona. And Marty Haberer. He's the Chief Development Officer for the Valley of the Sun JCC. And we're talking Alzheimer's. And, you know, Dr. Sabbagh, when you and I last spoke, actually, we spoke in March. And I think both of us were amazed what the Alzheimer's Association had done with their caregiver program. Yeah. Because I've been attached to that program for about 13 years. Mm-hmm. And, you know, each year, you know, we were getting about 250 people. And you said there were nearly 700 people there.
That's correct. This year was kind of caught us all by surprise. I think they were actually even turning people away. That's how many people they ended up showing. So I think changing the venue was a good call.
It was a really good call. But, I mean, they had, and what makes that event really good is they get great public speakers really talking about the disease itself, talking about, you know, how you can support families and people that are affected by this disease. So, right. You know, it was an incredible lineup that brought a lot of families and people that were afflicted with this disease there.
I think, you know, people are starting to realize that, you know, Phoenix is a place to go if you have Alzheimer's, and there are resources, Cypress providing many of those. But the Alzheimer's Association is now very engaged with the community to the point where you can find resources that are available to you. You know, Alzheimer's is a scary disease, and sometimes if caregiver is saying, what do I do, where do I go, how do I go about finding it? And thankfully, in Phoenix, there are things available. So, you know, I think that's one of those focal points is the conference where you can find those.
Can you talk a little bit about Phoenix? Because I see it, and I see it just, you know, from a provider of services, but you know, I know that there's a thing called the Alzheimer's Consortium, mm-hmm. and, you know, it makes up a lot of different players. I'd love for you to share with our listening audience because, you know, nobody's working in silos around here. It's a very collaborative group and involves a lot of different institutions.
So this collaboration now, 18 years running, is first in the nation. The vision of Dr. Ryman, who's the head of the Alzheimer's Consortium, was that you know, instead of us all competing, you know, you have your PET scan, I have my PET scan kind of deal. He said, let's try to pool our resources and come together as a consortium. And so you have the Mayo Clinic, you have the Barrow Neurological Institute, you have Banner, you have U of A, ASU, TGen, all at the table trying to solve the problem with our own individual strengths, and not just kind of on a arms race to say, who's going to get what. And it has had a little rocky start, but it's been a very wildly successful run. We get monies from the state of Arizona legislature and federal dollars, and those dollars are used to leverage to advance science. And we know that the estimates are now something like 60 to 1 for every dollar invested. There's been 60 in grants and research studies, et cetera. So, the number of people involved in the consortium has grown to over 300.
Wow.
So it's not a small thing. The state of Texas tried to reproduce it. The state of New York tried to reproduce it. The state of Florida tried to reproduce it, not to the success that Arizona has had.
And, one of your previous employers,
yes,
Sun Health.
Correct.
It was one of the early adopters
Correct.
of it. And, one of the things that they have, and I learned this from you, is this body donation program that is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And a lot of the research and the stuff they've discovered is through that body donation, because you're getting fresh tissue, you're getting fresh brains and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I had 15 wonderful years in Sun City, Arizona before I moved to Barrow, and very productive time. And one of the key elements of that success is the brain and body donation program. It is a resource that is used to advance science worldwide, not simply in Sun City or in Arizona. And a lot of tissue is given and distributed. Estimates are 200 tissue distributions per year, because scientists really want to advance the discoveries in Alzheimer's and Parkinson's.
And they've been doing it for over 30 years.
Correct.
And just so our listening audience understands this, you sign up for this thing, but if you are a donor, you come in yearly.
Correct.
And you come in for cognitive testing, and they do. It's
very thorough.
It's
very
thorough,
rigorous.
very involved.
Correct.
Very scientific.
It is very scientific, and we also use it to write papers and write grants and things like that. So it has been a very huge resource to the community, and the level of engagement of people who are sign up for this. These are people who are committed. We're committed to them. They're committed to us. It's a very deep engagement.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I know that there's also a prevention site that is up there. It's called EndAllsNow.
Correct.
.org, and they have over 255,000 people that have already signed up for it. And this is a great resource to get information. And if you have propensity or you have family history, you're going to want to sign up for this.
Right.
And they do testing all anonymously. I encourage you to go out to EndAllsNow.org. I want to bounce it over to you, Michelle. And, we have, in the last 18 months at Cypress HomeCare Solutions, have developed some care programs that we're doing. Can you share with our listening audience some of the things that we're doing at Cypress and some of the things that you're seeing with the families that we have worked with?
We're lucky at Cypress that we're starting early in the disease process for a lot of folks. So right after they've been to the Dr. Sabbahs of the world and they notice that they're having memory impairments, families don't know what to do. And they're a bit lost. And so we can help support them through the process, do family education, help them understand what it means to have dementia, and as the disease progresses, help the families understand how to modify daily activities to still give the person who's diagnosed some purpose, some routine, some structure, do things to still have meaningful days, which in turn takes some of the work off of the burden off of the care partners back. We're also training caregivers on how to work with folks who have dementia. Not just a 1-hour video, but intensive training in the classroom, training related specifically to the clients that they're working with. It's really specialized. And it's little things like when they're having trouble and they can't figure out how to get the person in the shower, what do we need to do in this particular instance? Like you had mentioned earlier, it's all individualized. We can't do cookie cutter programs with folks. So if it's that we have a lady that feels like she needs to have a spa day, well, then we're going to shower and have a spa day. If it's a gentleman who needs to feel like he's not being attacked in the shower, because a lot of times people just don't like somebody being in the shower with them, and especially if it's not my wife, they're not getting in the shower with me, then how do we go about that so he feels like he still has the control, but he's getting the personal care that he needs? So it's really a multi-level approach, helping the families, training the caregivers, and individualizing the program for the person who's diagnosed.
You know, Tim, you mentioned about evidence-based, and that's like the kind of nomenclature that is very, very common in the clinical field today. And, you know, while we have 18 months of experience on this, you know, we assess, or we estimate that we're able to keep families together for about 7 to 8 months longer by keeping them engaged, as you've just described.
Right.
And you know, one of the things that I either heard it from you or I may have heard it from Marwan is that when you've seen one patient with Alzheimer's, you've seen one patient with Alzheimer's. You can't cookie cutter this. Mm-hmm. Each one is very, very different from the other. You know, it's hard to believe we're coming up to wrapping up our third segment, and you know, we've got one more left, and I want to make it, you know, memorable, and I want to make it lasting, and kind of, you know, in the spirit of Alzheimer's, we want to make it memorable, but we also want to leave you with this segment, and we'll talk about the next segment. We got two big events coming up. We got one coming up next Friday at the Valley of the Sun JCC from 10 to 11 a.m. You can learn more about it by going to www.vosjcc.org/Alzheimer's. And the other event is 1 week from that day, 2 weeks from today, Friday the 13th at Belmont Village. You can register for this event. It's from 1 to 2 at 877-728-5414. We will be right back.
You can now catch Secured Financial Solutions on the Money with Anil Basarani and his team every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning from 9 to 10. Secured Financial Solutions believes that an educated investor is a profitable one. So tune in and be empowered with the facts. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. right here on Money Radio 1510 AM and 99.3 FM. To speak with Anil and his team, call now 800-957-5604 or visit dreamretire.com. The Best After 50 Expo in the West Valley is coming soon. Love and Life After 50 presents the 29th Annual Sun City Love and Life After 50 Expo. Over 70 exhibitors will be featured in a fun and informational day Tuesday, January 10th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Sundial Recreation Center. If you're over 50, this is the premier event you don't want to miss. The day's events and parking are free and include entertainment by the popular Rich Howard Orchestra. The Ms. Senior Arizona Ladies will greet you at the door. Hourly drawings will be held for door prizes, including $100 cash at 10, 11, and noon. Come see what new products and services are available for seniors in the West Valley. Bring your friends and family. January 10th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Sundial Recreation Center. Sponsors include Area Agency on Aging, Captel, Valley Radiologists, The Grand Season, and Comfort Keepers. For more information, go to seniorexpos.com. That's seniorexpos.com.
Toyotathon is on, the year's biggest event. Get great deals like low financing to special cashback offers. Visit your Valley Toyota dealers or valleytoyotadealers.com.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth. We're on our fourth segment. If you're just tuning in, we've got a studio full of people here, really good people, and people that are all on the same mission that I am on, and that is to figure out how to end this horrible disease called Alzheimer's. And, you know, our premier guest is Dr. Marwan Sabbagh from the Barrows Neurological Institute, a repeat guest here at the studio, and I can't thank you enough for being here.
Thank you for including me.
Michelle Toff, our Director of Memory Care Programs at Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Tim Cowen, the Executive Director at Belmont Village in Scottsdale, and then Marty Haberer from the Valley of the Sun JCC. You know, when we just left off, Michelle, you were talking about some of the programming that we've done and really making more meaningful days for the patients or clients that we serve. And I know, Tim, you wanted to piggyback on that because you're doing some amazing things at Belmont Village in terms of making meaningful days for the residents there.
We are, and while Dr. Sabbagh is dealing with families, when they come into Cypress or Belmont or wherever it might be, we wind up dealing with a larger family, not just with the individual with Alzheimer's or other forms of dementia, but so often the families are at a loss of where do we go, what do we do, who can help us. And when you get people in a community together, the kids of their loved ones or the spouses of their loved ones get together with other kids and other spouses, and when they start realizing they aren't alone in this, when Dr. Sabbagh talks about the large numbers of people involved. So a community-based programming helps the person with Alzheimer's, but it also has a wonderful liberating effect of helping families deal with where do I go, who can support me, what are the resources, and so that becomes, I think, really paramount with helping families through this maze of a disease.
You know, it's kind of it's an organic support group that you don't really intend to do, but it happens.
Exactly.
Which is great because so many people, like you said, Tim, feel like they are alone. You know, while I've got you on the mic, you're doing some incredible things over there at Belmont Village, and you know you have a thing that is called the 6 domains of a mental workout. And what is that, and why is that so important?
The 6 domains of mental workout, any kind of workout becomes really important, but you're trying to enhance, cultivate whatever is left of short and long-term memory programming. So there are all kinds of things that go with that. One of those would be problem-solving skills. One of those would be memory and judgment. One of those would be sequencing skills, memory, body movement. And the memory, body movement, just as a quick aside, Belmont Village had their first centenarian 2 weeks ago, a wonderful lady named Dolores. And
Happy birthday, Dolores.
Every Sunday morning, Dolores leads exercises
No way.
for the memory programming part of it. And up until 2 weeks ago, she would lead 99 exercises every Sunday morning. 9 reps, 11 times. Starting this Sunday now, it's 10 each. So it's encouraging to see that things can hit at any type of age. But the 6 domains of mental workout involve just all kinds of things to stimulate short and long-term memory.
And that goes back to what you said, Marwan. I mean, it's important to engage your brain and keep it active. I mean, we talked about foods and how the fuel that we take in is so important, but engagement is really important. And, Michelle, you were talking about what we're doing at Cypress, and so many families, that have loved ones that are afflicted with this disease, put them in front of the electronic babysitter, the television, and they sit there and watch CNN or Fox all day, and that cannot be good for your brain.
It's a passive engagement, and it doesn't do anything to stimulate the brain cells from working well. And I think that this program sounds really fantastic that they're doing at Belmont, because that's what you really need. But the ubiquitous television is easy solution, but it's not necessarily the best solution.
And I want to just say this program that you're doing at Belmont Village, Tim, the program that is coming up, and we've talked about it a couple times here on the show, is the Future Treatment of Alzheimer's. Friday, January 13th from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. If you want to register, you want to go to 877-728-5414. And I want to bounce it over to you, Marty, because you guys are having an event the week before, which is a week from today, January 6th, from 10 to 11. It's about reducing your risk. And you can sign up for that at vosjcc.org/Alzheimer's. And, both of these events are headlined by this gentleman that's right in front of me, Dr. Marwan Sabbagh. And I can tell you firsthand, he will keep it lively, he'll keep you engaged, and you will walk away with tools for your tool belt. Whether you're dealing with someone with this disease or you have family history, on how to cope with this disease or how to prevent and delay the potential onset for this disease. So I want to bounce it over to you, Marty. Tell me about what's going on at the JCC. You guys just reopened your pool. This building was built right after my mother passed away, so I know it's 14 years Tell me what's going on.
Yeah, that's correct. It's a very, very exciting time. Literally, as we speak, we just completed installing brand new fitness equipment. So we are now state-of-the-art with everybody in this area. Nobody has newer equipment than we do.
There's my New Year's resolution. I got to get over there, right?
Absolutely.
Work out.
I'm looking for you. We got a spot for you. And the swimming pool, as I know you've seen, I've seen you there, Bob. We've got 3 swimming pools now. We have the Olympic-sized pool for laps and for the Masters and for lessons, but we also have a wading pool where people can play basketball, volleyball, and we have about a 2,500 square foot pad where the kids can come through, which is wonderful. So
splash pad.
Thank you. And the facility is really really awesome, and we're more than a fitness center. We offer all sorts of programs like this wonderful program. So I want to acknowledge you, Dr. Sabbagh, to have somebody like you there at our JCC.
Thanks for including me.
Incredible privilege, and I'm really looking forward to it. And it's a free program. That's the other piece of this. Because we have a wonderful sponsor here, this allows people to come and enjoy these type of things. This is built on the idea of tikkun olam, improving the world, which is what the mission of the JCC, the whole world, for everybody.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So I'm going to bounce it over to you, Dr. Sabbagh. Marwan, can you share with our listening audience? We've got about a minute left. Alzheimer's, 2017, the future. What do you foresee in terms of hope? Because, a lot of families feel like they've lost hope.
Right. So 2016 turned out to be a challenging year. There were 3 major drug trials in the phase 3, meaning the last stage before approval, that failed. Most recently, the solanezumab program, which was a monoclonal antibody, an IV-infused anti-amyloid treatment, didn't meet its specified endpoint, meaning that we were all going to say, and I would have said it on the radio, stay tuned, next year you're going to have this new treatment for Alzheimer's. That kind of didn't make it. So we think 2017 may not have a lot by way of new treatments available in the clinic, although there's a huge amount of research going on. We could see developments that could be clinically approved by 2018. So 2017 might be a quiet year in terms of approved drugs, but we're still hopeful. I think the thing that everybody's excited about still is the aducanumab. That's the monoclonal antibody from Biogen, which clears out amyloid like nobody's business and clearly slows the rate of decline. I think that's still eyes on that one. But there are a lot of drugs, a lot of compounds, a lot of new studies going on. The other thing, and you talk about me being world traveling, one thing that a lot of people are very excited about is the idea that we could develop a blood test to diagnose Alzheimer's disease, and that is the hot thing of the moment, not on the therapeutic side, but on the diagnostic side.
Right.
Like the hemoglobin A1C for diabetes or the PSA for prostate cancer, there are a lot of companies worldwide that are working on the blood test for Alzheimer's.
And you know what? Even though we have failed, it doesn't mean we've lost hope, because we know that the big pharmaceutical companies and research institutions are still working.
Very essential.
You know what? We're ready to conclude our show. Thank you guys for being here on the show. Thank you, Dr. Sabbagh. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Marty. Make it a great day. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Take care.
No place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress HomeCare Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit CypressHomeCare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 99.3 FM.
Market Wrap listeners, join host Mo Ansari for his next seminar on Thursday, January 5th in Scottsdale. He'll share his analysis of global economic trends and interest rates, plus his outlook for equities and fixed income. You can also make an appointment to meet with him on Friday, January 6th and get your free portfolio review. Call pound 250 on your cell phone and say talk to Mo for reservations. Again, from your cell phone, call pound 250 and say talk to Mo.
Compact Asset Management is a registered investment advisor. Funds custodian, Fidelity Institutional Wealth Services, member FINRA SIPC.
Money Radio 1510
and 99.3 FM.
KFNN Mesa Phoenix and K257CD Phoenix. Can you stump the chumps on business for breakfast? If so, you might win a great prize. Listen Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 7:15 a.m. Right now, the Dow is down 89 points at 19,730. S&P down 14, and the NASDAQ is down 57.
When people want to talk about money, this is the place they come to. And there's more on the way after this break for the latest news. And we begin